Post-control reviews are essential for evaluating the project performance, also identifying areas for improvement and ensuring organizational learning. These reviews focuses on analyzing what worked well, what challenges were encountered, and how future projects can benefit from these insights. The lessons learned documentation process is one of the most important process that you need when monitoring and controlling the project. Lessons learned process is not just about documenting issues, but about also ensuring real improvement in real projects or future projects. By following a structured approach, organizations can create a repository of knowledge that enhances the decision making and project efficiency. And these are the key steps that is involved when capturing this lessons. You start with gathering the insights from the project team members and stakeholders. Next, as a second step here, you need to analyze the success, the challenges, and missed opportunities. Third step here, you need to document these findings in a structured format, maybe as per PMI lessons learned register. The last step here, you need to share these insights with the future project teams, also with your organization. Ensure that all of these, say, lessons are being utilized for a future project. And the key focus here areas and the lessons learned, it's like what you can capture in terms of lessons learned. It can be about the project planning effectiveness, risk response success or failures, change management efficiency, or maybe stakeholder engagement strategies, quality and procurement challenges that were faced, and how did you overcome them as a project manager. So these what would be example of the lessons learned. To talk about the stakeholder feedback and engagement analysis. So stakeholder feedback is critical for assessing the engagement effectiveness and also improving the future communication strategies. By using structured data collection techniques, project managers can ensure alignment between the project outcomes and the stakeholder expectations. The methods here, or the ways that you can gather the stakeholder feedback, first you can gather it through surveys and questionnaires, which is a structured feedback collection, let's say, mechanism. You also may utilize interviews and focus groups, which is in depth discussion on the project performance with the key stakeholders. Performance metrics review, it's by reviewing all of these, let's say, metrics that were influencing the project or for its controlling and monitoring phase, also during the execution. So it's data driven analysis of the stakeholder engagement success. As we've discussed also the lessons learned meetings, which is a formal discussion of stakeholder involvement during the project. And some of these questions you might ask the stakeholder with or ask yourself about the key stakeholder concerns that were evaluated. For example, you can ask yourself where the expectations were met. And you can ask you the stakeholders such questions where the expectation met. Was the communication effective? Were any concerns that addressed in where all of these concerns were addressed in timely manner? Did the project, for example, deliver the expected business value? So such questions you can ask the stakeholders to obtain their feedback and to understand their engagement within the project. Analyzing the process effectiveness and efficiency. So structured post review project review allows the team to evaluate the process effectiveness and refine methodologies for future project. This ensures continuous improvement and organization maturity in project execution. And the key processes that is involved to review these areas when analyzing when analyzing the process effectiveness, you can think about these key processes involved in this knowledge area includes the scope management, and to analyze that, you can ask, let's say, the question of did the project has stayed within defined scope? Did it suffer from scope creep? The next key process here you need to analyze the effectiveness of it, which was the schedule adherence. Schedule adherence to, let's say, to gather more data about whether you were adhering to the schedule or not. Were the milestones met as planned? Is there many change requests has changed the schedule baseline? Also, the next process here we have is the cost control. On cost control, you can ask yourself, was the project completed within the budget? What else we have? We have risk management. Where any risks response plan, where risk response plans were effective? Do I need to improve it in the next project, next phase? So also the change management. And change management, you can ask yourself how well we were handling the changes within the projects. So in order to analyze all of these process effectiveness, you can ask yourself these questions to capture the scope, concerns, the schedule, the cost, the risk, the change management processes. Not only these, you're free to review whatever process that you may feel that you weren't doing, let's say, good at this process, so you need to improve it. The tools and techniques that can be used for post control review. So, by leveraging PMI recommended tools like the root cause analysis and SWOT analysis, the project managers can bring an actionable insights and obtain an actionable insights to optimize the future project planning and execution. And to take a look about these most common techniques here, we have the root cause analysis, which is the RCA. And the purpose of root cause analysis, again, it identifies underlying reasons for project issues. The next tool or technique here is SWOT analysis. And SWOT analysis is by assessing the strength, weaknesses, the opportunities and threats, and value management, which we talked many about when we were explaining the schedule monitoring and cost monitoring. So EVM, it measures the cost and the scope performance. It measures the cost and schedule performance, also aligning it with the scope. The next tool here we have is the lessons learned register. And lessons learned register is a document that you can store all of the key insights for, let's say, the future projects, so the other project managers can utilize it, see what went well, what didn't well, what were the key lessons that were learned during the project. And also we have the risk audit. And risk audit, as say, as a technique here, it's made to review the risk response effectiveness and to ensure that you are, let's say, improving over the time. Capturing the improvement opportunities for future project, which is also, can think it's part of, let's say, of the lessons learned register. So post control reviews not only evaluate the past performance but also help shaping the future best practices. By continuously improving the processes, the organizations can increase the efficiency, reduce the risks, and enhance the overall project success rates. And the key areas of for improvement you might face here is, for example, streamlining the communication channels or enhancing the resource allocation strategies. You may find that refining the risk identification and mitigation processes might help future project. Also, optimizing the change control procedures. So these are some of the examples of key areas for improvements. And the framework here for the process enhancement is by documenting these findings and the structured lessons learned report, as we've discussed. Also, we talked about creating an action plan for the future project based on the lessons learned and reviews, insights. Also, sharing the best practices across the organization so the other project managers and the other teams can, say, leverage the knowledge and leverage these lessons. When it comes to report the findings to the key stakeholders, so effectively presenting the post-control findings ensures that the stakeholders receives a valuable insight tailored for their roles. And this improves the buy-in for the future process changes and fosters a culture of continuous improvement. The best practices here you may follow for the post-control reviews report is by having an executive summary. And that executive summary, it has to include the key findings, the successes, and areas for improvement that, let's say, the other teams or the key stakeholders need to follow. Also, one of these best practices is to have data-driven insight by using metrics and charts to support the conclusion and decision making. Third best practice here we have is stakeholder specific reports, where you customize these insight based on the audience needs and audience, let's say, level of involvement and engagement. Finally, which is the most important thing here, is an actionable recommendations, which provides a specific strategies for the future enhancement where the key stakeholders can improve their processes. Also, the other project managers who can, let's say, take these recommendations to, let's say, to enhance the processes when handling their project. Some of these challenges were, you know, might face as a project manager when doing post control reviews. So, overcoming challenges in post control reviews requires a structured approach, like stakeholder buy in and clear documentation practices to ensure long term benefit. And some of these challenges, first, you have is lack of participation. Lack of participation by, let's say, meaning that some of the team members or stakeholders may not engage fully in the review sessions. Also, we have incomplete data collection as one of these common challenges. And that, let's say, could be caused by missing or inaccurate data, which can, let's say, skew the findings. Resistant to change, also, we have discussed about resistant to change, which teams may hesitate to adopt any recommended improvement. When it comes to poor documentation practices, like not having, let's say, enough documentation practices for to document the lessons learned, which is not constantly recorded. Maybe the issue log, maybe all of these post control review documentation does not have proper documentation practices. And these strategies to overcome these challenges that I've mentioned, in order to overcome lack of participation, you need to encourage open and constructive discussions. And in order to overcome the incomplete data collection issue, or challenge, you need to use data, let's say, visualization tools to have more clarity. And by implementing a standardized reporting format, you can, let's say, overcome the poor documentation practices. And also, when dealing with resistance to change, you need to foster a culture of continuous learning and stability. And this is an example where we have a case study conducting a post control in an IT project. So this case study will highlight the importance of the structured post control reviews and how they lead to a tangible improvement in project management efficiency. First, you need to identify the project type, which is a software development project implementation. And some of these challenges were faced when implementing the software is as the missed deadlines, the unclear requirements, or resource misallocation. So the key lessons learned from this project and these challenges that were faced, it's by, let's say, improving the requirements gathering, um, involving and engaging more with the stakeholders, and having, let's say, applying a better scheduling techniques, to overcome the resource misallocation issues. The outcomes here would be the future project would benefit from the refined scope control and better resource forecasting. And to summarize our session on the post-control reviews, we say that post-control reviews are vital for continuous project. We also looked at the lessons learned documentation, which helps the organization to refine their best practices, and the stakeholder feedback that enhances the engagement strategies. And finally, we looked at the process improvement opportunities to ensure the future projects achieve a better outcomes.